back again. I still have a scratchy voice. We'll see how long it lasts. The Main Street Randyland YouTube channel. Hip, hip, hooray. Well, we're still over here at Randyland, and we were just talking about another episode dealing with animatronics and audio systems. And we were over here by a rack that actually is not from an automated show, but it's a predecessor. This is a Mackenzie rack system. Now, this was made by a company called Mackenzie out in California. They were known for special commercial audios. And this rack is only one of about, I would say, 6 or 7 that were from the Palace Amusements in Asbury Park. Now, everybody talks about the Palace Amusements, those who remember it. Iconic place. It was a solid city square block. It was the steeplechase of New Jersey. It had that big face on the side of the wall like George Tilly's steeplechase, but it was Tilly because it was the same guy who came over to New Jersey and made Palace, which was the steeplechase of New Jersey. And it goes back to the late 1800s where they had the first beginnings with a steam-driven merry-go-round. Then they had a Ferris wheel that was steam-driven. Eventually they built the building further and further around it, and the Ferris wheel went through the roof. Eventually they got converted to electric, but they were all steam-driven in the beginning. And they had a couple dark rides inside the Palace Amusements, where you sat in the cars and rode through. One was a Wacky Shack, which was later converted to some kind of a horror, dark ride. Instead of being fun, it was more scary. And another one was called the Orient Express, where you went on a double-decker experience. The cars were actually ridden up on a chain, and then in the middle, the cars would do an alley-oop and come back up again on the top. And I have both of those ride systems. And there was a fun house also inside. There was a walkthrough, and they had a lot of monsters. They have monsters from the Funhouse too. But interestingly enough, early, before even Disneyland, the Palace Amusements in the 40s and the 50s ran the place similar to the concept of Disneyland in California, and of course Disney World in Florida and all the Disney parks, where they had a central audio control room that did all the audio throughout the complex. So the Mackenzie rack system did audio for the entire complex. All the sounds from all the dark rides, the haunted house, the walkthrough, the rides, the merry-go-round music, anything that was audio and sounds came from the Mackenzie rack system. And it had many, many miniature carts. See, now we're going to try to open one without making a disaster here. It slides over, I guess. Come on, there it goes. And inside you have a tape. See, look, the tape is broken. And this one has rats and bats. See that? This tape was put in July of '78. Subject, Jungle Drums and Witch Doctor. Client, Hunt's Theater. Wow. Hunt's Theater tapes in there. So, they had a library of tapes you could get from Mackenzie. Get it in the right way. Pretty sure it went like that. There we go. And these tapes would be activated on command from whatever situation was. Now, here you had a few direct drives. Orient, background. That was for the Orient Express, the background music. The Cave, background. Funhouse, background. Space, background. I guess that was like the area that had a lot of space. I don't know, because they didn't have a space theme. Air 1, Air 2, sound. I'm not sure what they did in the Palace at that time. They didn't have air like air conditioning. Maybe they're talking about air compressors, I would guess. Monitors, so we could hear the different sounds. This would be a monitor select. See that? So if I wanted to hear what was playing on channel 2, doesn't want to turn. Okay, here we go this way. I turn channel 2, and I could turn my monitor volume, and I could listen to what sounds are coming off of that tape. And then I could switch it to a different channel, and I could hear what's being played in the different areas. So you had 4 switches that would activate the sounds. These would cut off the 4 switches. So if a tape was continually going, they were trying to service it, they could turn it off. They could service the tape. So these rack systems lined up, and they created a wall, and they were all interconnected. But over here, there's more goodies. You see down at the end of the aisle there, you'll see more racks. They are the rest of the racks for the Mackenzie sound system, all from the Palace. The one in the middle that has kind of silver, black, silver, that was reel-to-reels, and that's where the reels would go. The others are all the tape loops that would be automated, that would be controlled by the different sound effects throughout the store. So you not only had all the sound effects being controlled by all the dark rides and the area background music, but you had special effects sound effects, including the shooting galleries. It's all vacuum tubes, tape loops, heavy as can be. That was in a small audio room above the Poker Palace room behind the Orient Express, centrally located. And it had this rickety old wooden stairs that I had to drag each one of those units down that stairway. And I had to disconnect all the interconnection wires, and I had to go down a step and then get it to the edge and then down a step. And I was hoping the steps wouldn't go down with me because they were so old, the wood and all that stuff, to get them out of the Palace to save this stuff. Now, the Mackenzie sound system back in 1952 cost about $28,000. If you use your inflation calculator today, that is astronomical amount of money. I mean, a house was $5,000. This was $28,000. So today, all that would be done on a computer, and you would have sound samples that would be accessed from the computer system. It would be inexpensive, and it would be probably more efficient, certainly run a lot cooler on electricity and heat. But what's important about this, even more so than the sounds, is the way they did it, the technology that once was that has changed. So I probably would never run my sound effects through the Mackenzie sound system, because I'd constantly be replacing tapes and tape heads, constantly trying to get vacuum tubes and the power consumption. I will copy those sounds onto a digital medium, and I'll use it that way. But I will keep the Mackenzie system so people can see the way it was done. That's most important. And the only thing more important about that than that is I have all the tapes. Not only the tapes that are in it, but I have boxes of tapes from the different sounds that were over the years from the Palace. And all these tapes and these sounds will recreate the feeling that once was, that can never be duplicated, can never be replicated without those sounds. So it's an important piece of history. It's amusement park Americana. We save it right here in my work, because that's what I do. I'm a preservationist of my history in the amusement business. I rode those rides. I remember those sounds. Other people might not know what it is. I know what it is. So it has to be done while I'm still around to do it. If I'm still around to do it. We'll see how it works out. So that's why it was important to create the New Jersey State Amusements Museum while there was still time. I don't know if that time still exists anymore. I'm running out of time. I'm doing this now. My first pinball I got when I was 11. I'm 63. I don't have another 20 years ahead. So we'll see what happens. But meanwhile, we do the best we can with what we have, and we're making our preservations through these videos right here on the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel. And you can pass them along, get people to subscribe and to watch and push it along. And maybe if we get enough exposure and people understand what this project is about, maybe somewhere, somehow, some government agency, arts, education, foundation, big corporation looking for charitable supports will come along and be able to provide a giant building so this can all be put together so it can live on before it's too late. Because if not, it's going to be gone. And with that unusual note, we'll say good night and see you next time from the Main Street Randyland YouTube channel. Bye, guys.